I felt like pot stickers for dinner today, and as many of you will know by now, I'm not a big fan of packaged food. So let's go make some pot stickers. There were some country-style pork ribs on sale, so pork is the meat of choice today. Country-style pork ribs are a cut out of the shoulder with a lot of fat on it. This makes for very succulent fillings. Let's start with the vegetables. I'm using celery, cabbage, green onions. I have a ripe serrano pepper from my garden. This one's gonna provide some heat. And there's some ginger. Don't go overboard with the vegetables. Usually it's about a 1-to-1 mix meat to vegetables. You can use any vegetables you like, but feel free to use carrots or kale in it. There's always one thing in common. Chop your ingredients really fine. We'll start with that. There we go, minced ginger. And I'm thinking for heat, maybe half of this will do. Of course, you don't have to use a hot pepper in it. There's no need to make it hot if you don't like that. Let's quickly blanch those vegetables. You essentially just pour hot water over it, let it sit for a minute or so, and then you drain it and rinse it with cold water. Time to deal with the meat. This was on sale. See, the entire pack is only $4.24 and we need only half of it. There's some nice pieces. Let's take this one. Got a little bit less fat on it. So there we go. You could run this meat through a meat grinder. That's perfectly fine. Use a coarse blade for that because you want some texture in it. If you cut it by hand, it would actually help if you get this semi-frozen, then it's stiffer and easier to slice. I forgot to do that, so we'll have to deal with it at fridge temperatures. A sharp knife actually helps. Many options to get this small, use whichever you prefer. The difference between a mediocre pot sticker and a good pot sticker is a marinade. I've seen a lot of recipes where people just mix the meat with the vegetables, add a couple spices and call it a day. But that's not how you end up with a good pot sticker. Let's quickly work on a marinade. I'm using the bowl with the ginger and my hot pepper in because it's gonna go in anyways, no need for an extra bowl. Here are the ingredients for the marinade. This is oyster sauce, fish sauce and soy sauce, sugar and salt, sesame oil, chicken or vegetable bouillon powder, white pepper, a little bit of water, and a bunch of cornstarch. So now let's make a big slurry out of this. I'll start with the water, prevents the sticking. Sugar, oil, pepper, and the cornstarch. Combine this into a nice slurry. And you may notice it's a rather large amount of cornstarch. It's like 3 tablespoons. But that's actually the glue that keeps the rest of the filling together. Now this simply goes into the meat, no need to wait or anything else. Of course, at this point you could mess around with a fork or a spoon and try to combine this. The best tool for the job is your hand as usual. Grab a glove and just knead this together. Set this aside for a minute and let's take care of our vegetables. They should have drained pretty well by now. I'm still pushing down on them a little to extract as much moisture out of them as possible. The drier your filling is, the better it is to work with. Put that into your filling. And then let's employ that good old tool again. All right, the filling looks good. Now it's time to actually make us some pot stickers. All you need is a little bit of water and of course you need pot sticker wrappers. You can get them in pretty much any supermarket and you get a lot of varieties of them in an Asian store. I'm using the thin ones because I think they're better to work with. These wrappers come with a floured side and an unfloured side. Of course they look pretty much the same since they're stacked on top of each other, but if you pay attention, the top one has more flour than the bottom side. So if you can see a difference, use the floured side on the outside. Before we go into mass production, let's start with a single one. There's essentially no wrong way to fold these things. Let's start with a simple way. It will not look anything like a pot sticker as you know it, but they work and it's easy to do. First, take your pot sticker, floured side out if you see a difference. Use a little bit of water on your finger. Just make the outside wet. Then add some filling, about so. And now you can just fold them up like this. Press together. And there you have a dumpling. It's not what a pot sticker usually looks like. If you want it easy, this is the way to go. Now for a little bit more traditional version, what I'm usually doing is I fold these up, pinch them on the side, and then I fold them like this. So you take one side and fold them over like this. Make sure your filling is on the inside. And you make like 4 or 5 of these creases, and then you crimp the end. And there you go. There you have a more traditional looking pot sticker. I saw another method while researching for this video. I'm not sure I can do it, but I'm trying anyways. So what I saw them do is fold it up on the back 4 or 5 times. And then they closed it over like this. Not too bad, but actually it doesn't look as pretty as I saw that while researching. Still, it's a closed dumpling, so it will work. So I'll do one again with the method that I'm the most familiar with. Filling, fold it over, crimp one side, and start folding these guys over. If you have too much filling, you can just squeeze it out in the end and then crimp it up. And there we go. Nice little dumpling. I'll continue to do this for the next, I would say, 50 pieces or so. And in the meantime, why don't you give this video a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss another episode. This took me about half an hour to do. These are 49 dumplings. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get hungry. Let me show you what to do with these things. I'm not going to eat all 49 of them for dinner, so you want to think about freezing them. You have to freeze them individually and then you can toss them into a bag. In order to do that, I have a small baking sheet that's lined with plastic wrap. You could use one of those silicone baking liners, would work just fine. And now I'm just setting these dumplings on here so that they don't touch each other. These I pop into the freezer until they're solid frozen, and then I just put them into a box or a bag. Here's how I cook pot stickers. I preheat a pan. Since this is stainless steel, make sure you have the right temperature. See, you want the water bouncing around in here. That's the right temperature. Add some oil. Add pot stickers. Let them cook just a little bit until they're nice and golden on the bottom. Now there's the fireworks. Take a little bit of water and have the lid ready. Dump in the water and cover. Reduce the heat to medium and let steam until they're cooked. That should only take a few minutes. You will need a dipping sauce for those dumplings, and my version couldn't get any easier. Soy sauce. I'm eyeballing this. a spritz of sesame oil, and I'm using aged Chinese vinegar. Just a little dash. It has a beautiful flavor. You want something a little bit acidic in the dipping sauce for those pot stickers. So this fits the bill. You probably don't have that at home. If you have a balsamic vinegar, that would work splendidly. Also, you can just use a little bit of lime juice. You could make this hot with some sriracha. I'm not going to do that because I have hot in my pot stickers. This is the sauce. Just stir it up and start dipping. The water is pretty much gone. They're crisping up. Time to extract.